All a very good evening and a warm welcome to all the respected dignitaries, members of the teaching staff, and my dear students. Today, we all have gathered here on this virtual platform to celebrate and understand the rights of minorities as 18th December is observed as National Minorities Rights Day. Undoubtedly, every nation has different ethnic, religious, linguistic, and minority groups, but the Constitution of India has provided equal rights to all citizens and takes several measures to safeguard the same. Minorities' Right Day is celebrated by the National Commission for Minorities in India, focusing on religious harmony, respect, and a better understanding of all minority communities. United Nations on 18 December 1992 adopted and broadcast the statement on the individual rights belonging to religious, national, and ethnic minorities. The National Minorities Rights Day is an occasion to educate people on the importance of religious freedom, harmony, and the rights of minorities. It is also an opportunity to aware minorities of their rights and special provisions guaranteed to them under the Constitution. Before I proceed further, I request our principal, ma'am, Dr. Neelam Arora, to kindly enlighten with her wisdom. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, hello, good evening, and welcome to all the students and to my friend and classmate Dhanpal. Dhanpal, thank you for accepting the invitation at such a short notice. So, again, Rahul has already mentioned about rights of minorities. So, Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, and Parsis are considered to be minorities in India. You are all students of Lala Lajpat Rai College, which is a minority institution. That means any minority in a state or can start their own educational institution or promote their religion or language. There are many rights. I'm sure Dhanpal has a whole list. He is an activist also fighting for Jain rights. I think he is very radical in his thinking, and he will surely enlighten you all on rights of minorities in India. So thank you once again, Jandhan Pal, and welcome to all the students. Over to you, Rahul. Please
Yes,
start the
yes,
lecture.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Now, to uncover the diverse facets, as Madam rightly highlighted, we have a right person amidst us and our speaker for day, Mr. Dhanpal Jain, who is a constitutional expert, a columnist, and a minority rights activist. Sir has been writing columns for Times of India and Economic Times since last 12 years. A postgraduate degree holder in the discipline of arts, specialized in social inclusion and inclusive law policies, has also adopted his LLM in constitutional and international law. Mr. Jain is a practicing lawyer at Bombay High Court since last 8 years and has worked on documentaries of human rights, gender, and minority rights. Above all, I'm very happy to announce that Mr. Jain is an ex-student of our Lala Lajpat Rai College of Law. I take this opportunity to welcome you, sir, on behalf of Lala Lajpat Rai College of Commerce and Economics and request you to address the gathering. Over to you, Dhanpal, sir.
Uh, Very good evening to one and all. Am I audible?
Yes, 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 very much, very much. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And this is thank you to my classmate, Dr. Nirim Arona, ma'am, for having me here. And I must share with the students and all the faculty members that my LLM dissertation was on the rights of minorities under the Constitution of India. As Neelam ma'am rightly portrayed that there are two types of minorities in India, at least, recognized by the Constitution of India. One is linguistic minorities and one is religious minority. But, you know, minorities are not only pertaining to India. Now, after so much migration and people from Asia going to Europe and America and settling vice versa, minorities is a global phenomena. It is not only an Indian phenomenon. That is why on 18 December 1992, the United Nations under Article 27 of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Right, 1966, recognized the rights of national, linguistic, ethnic, cultural, religious minorities. So, well, the Constitution of India is no alien, then we in India, because this is an international law, an international convention, the central government, the then Narasimha Rao government in 1992 enacted an act called the National Commission for Minorities. Now, the National Commission for Minorities came into existence by an act of parliament. In 1992, then Parliament passed a law called the National Commission for Minorities to safeguard. This is to safeguard the rights of minorities in India and in their respective states. Now, minorities they have all the human rights under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But again, why do we need a law? Why do we need something like a national commission as a quasi-judicial body to guard the rights of course, the fundamental human rights of minorities and the other aspects? They are educational, they are economic, they are political, they are social, they are communal harmony, there is peace in the country, there's progress, and minorities feel a part of the Indian system. Of course, they are very much Indians, but they feel a very much part of the Indian system. So in 1993, the Narasimha Rao government, which Dr. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister, they all they notified around 5 communities as minorities. Now, which are the 5 communities nationally recognized as minorities? The first are Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Parsis. These 5 communities under Section 2C of the National Commission for Minorities were notified as minorities. Now, if you got the Buddhists and the Sikhs, why were the Jains not included? This was the big fight. Then Bal Patil, who had, I think, come to Lala College also, Bal Patil filed a writ petition before the Supreme Court, before the Bombay High Court. And subsequently, the matter was, Justice Chandrachud was there, and Chandrachud he passed a very progressive and a very supportive order instructing and ordering the central government to notify Jains as a minority. Then the matter went to Supreme Court because the governments did not do it. So the Supreme Court also passed a very ambiguous kind of order saying, listen, that we don't want to get into the job of the executive, but let the government decide. So under Section 2C. So after a lot of deliberation, lot of write-ups, lot of Jain saying, population-wise we are separate. When Buddhists and Sikhs have been included, why are we, and Parsis, so why are we excluded? So after that, after a lot of deliberation and letters from worldwide and from domestic lobby from the Jain community, the Jains were notified on 27 January 2014 as a national minority. In states, Jains were already recognized as minorities, like states like Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, West Bengal. So वो state minority commission है और एक है national commission for minorities. Now in Maharashtra, apart from the 6 minorities when I mean is your Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis, Jains, Jews are also recognized as minorities. So ye ek hai. Then you have linguistic minorities also. Let's not forget your own college is a beneficiary of being a linguistic minority. So there is a linguistic minority officer with the Maharashtra government, and the list is already notified by the cabinet that Marathi is the majority language of Maharashtra. So that they come under the majority language. So rest all other languages in Maharashtra, whether they are Gujarati, Rajasthani, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi, all these languages come under linguistic minority provision. Sindhis, all the best of Sindhi colleges are there. So all these are granted linguistic minority status. Even Urdu comes under linguistic minority. So there are other, all non-Marathi speaking languages as per the notification of the Maharashtra government are a linguistic minority. Now there are been, global research. There is domestic research like the Sachar Committee report, like the Rangnath Mishra Committee report, which says that, educationally and economically, the minorities are excluded, but not all minorities, because there is a cultural aspects to minorities also, like communities like Christians, communities like Parsis, communities like Jains. They support education from, there is a cultural support, there is a community support for education, not from now, I mean from years. Culturally they support education. You see the highest number of graduates come from, both male and female come from the Jain community. Then number two are Christians, then Parsi. So the reason is culturally these communities are forward educationally. But there are communities like Muslims who are not educationally forward because of the cultural orthodoxy from within the community, mass poverty, mass ignorance, and also kind of fundamentalism which is there in the community, which allow, I mean, I'm not talking about 2020, but years back, which does not allow women to come out of parda or gungat, or take more Western modern education. So that is why this such a report was constituted by Dr. Manmohan Singh's government, stating that there has to be a study of Muslims so that to understand their educational and economic status. So, again, we are a secular country. So, there was also question against this reported why only one community has been given this study, all other communities must be given. But, Muslim community educationally and economically is backward. So to support their rights and to support their cause, there was enough study. So also in job representation, you see minorities, particularly in the top bureaucracy, the IAS, the IPS, all the civil servant or class one officers, minorities do not have adequate representation, and particularly women from minority communities do not have adequate representation. Even in politics also, you see women from minority communities do not have that much representation. So minorities as inclusive. And even if you go back to the Constituent Assembly debates, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a minority himself. So he wanted to ensure that minorities were given rights within the constitution, and that also within the fundamental rights. So fundamental rights are enforceable by the by law, and also enforceable by Supreme Court. If somebody violates your fundamental rights as a citizen, you can go to High Court, you can go to Supreme Court and file an appropriate writ within the appropriate jurisdiction or appropriate cause of your matter. So there are other situations. Now, why there is a special provision, as Arora ma'am informed, that there is Article 29 and Article 30. Now, Article 29 and 30 very clearly says that minorities, both linguistic and religious, please mind you, both linguistic and religious, have a right, Article 2, establish their cultural, their educational, and the government will ensure and facilitate that minorities get proper land for their schools and colleges and for their universities and whatever educational institutions. So there is no hindrance or obstruction created by any outside force or anti-social elements that minorities cannot run their educational institution. And even in government grant, when government is giving grant, they will not discriminate that this is a minority institution or this is a majority institution. And also let you tell very clearly inform you that some communities where they are minorities are a majority. Like I'll give an example. Now in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, which is a state very much a part and parcel of the Indian Union, here in Jammu and Kashmir, Hindus are a religious minority. In Punjab, Sikhs are a religious majority, and Hindus here are a minority. If you go to Meghalaya, Christians are a religious majority there. So, nationally, if you have 6 minorities, every state ka different perspective hai. So if you go to, as I said, you go to Jammu and Kashmir, Muslims are a majority there. So Hindus are a minority there. If you go to Meghalaya, Mizoram, there are Christians are a majority. Okay, now linguistic minorities. You got the idea of the pan-India national minority. There are 6 minority: Muslim, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis, and Jains. And in Maharashtra state, only one community need to be plussed in. It is the Jewish community. Now, again, you have linguistic minority. Now, there is a provision in the constitution that which says about linguistic minority. Now, linguistic minorities could differ from state to state. Like Maharashtrians are a linguistic minority in the state of Gujarat. So, and or in Maharashtra, Gujaratis are a linguistic minority. So in West Bengal, Rajasthanis are a linguistic minority, and in Karnataka, Bengalis are a linguistic minority. So it could differ from state to state. So every state has its majority language, and then the rest other languages are minority. Like if I go to Tamil Nadu, Tamil is the language over there is majority language over there is Tamil. So Tamil in Tamil Nadu, a Kannada speaking person will be a linguistic minority, and vice versa. In Karnataka, it will be the non-Kannadi speaking minorities. So that is why there is a global phenomena and a national and a domestic phenomena to it. Now, even if you look at the Prime Minister's program, now why do we need a 15-point Prime Minister's program? Now, after the deliberation of the Satcher report, there was a need that this may be looked in at the Prime Minister's level, because minorities are suffering, and that the Congress government was there, so they wanted some kind of soaps. You can call it a soap, but I would rather use the right word, that minority empowerment programs. Now there are, under the Prime Minister's 15 point, there are minority programs like educational empowerment. You have your schemes like women empowerment, job related empowerment schemes, business related empowerment schemes. So there are a lot of schemes which the government is promoting, and mind you, there are not only schemes national by the central government, but state government also has. So students from minority communities can take a pen and paper and note down the website also. Suppose you want to take a scholarship or a fee reimbursement, there is a website called www.scholarship.gov.in. I repeat, www.scholarship.gov.in. Now this is a scheme. This is a scheme for scholarship schemes for minorities for pan India. Then you also have schemes given by the Maharashtra government for minorities. That website is, I think, see, again, you can log into mdd.maharashtra.gov.in. So these are two websites you can check out, and they're online websites. Again, you need to fill in your system on time. There is a deadline and all, with all your fee receipts and whatever needs to be complied, you need to comply with. So these websites are very helpful, and they will truly empower you. Like if you are poor, and if your family income is below some 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, whatever the criteria is. I may not have the exact data of the current 2020, but jo bhi data hai, you can apply for scholarship, and you should have a bank account and an Aadhaar card. Then you will get your fee reimbursed. Now, minorities under Article 29 and 30 of the Constitution, as I said, religious and linguistic have a right to have their own colleges, have their own schools, have, like many of us are studied in a Christian convent school. So, first, it's very clearly written that, first priority will be given to, Christian students. So it is their fundamental right to give it to their community first. If it's your KC college, so the Sindhi community guys will get a preference. If it is Lala college, it will be Punjabi. It is your Mithibai college, then Gujarati. So suppose it is your Burani college, then Muslim minority, or Rizvi college, no Muslim minority. And if it is a Khalsa college, so it will be a Sikh minority. So based on the community or the management of that college, minorities are segregated accordingly. And then there are schemes like Pado Pardesh, like schemes like if you want to go out and study, so you get loans and you get a lot of, you have to go and search on the scheme which I've given you. Then you have the National Commission for Minorities. Now, National Commission for Minority is a quasi-judicial body. It can summon the chief secretary-like person to its office and question if there is any act of human rights violation happening in the respective states. Suppose in the state of Orissa, if minorities are persecuted, there are attacks on Christian community or their churches or their respect, then the government can, the National Commission for Minorities, like you have the National Commission for Women to protect the rights of human rights of women. You have this body called the National Commission for Minorities, which can pull up or summon the chief secretary, the home secretary, if there is any human rights violation or any act of atrocity or any act of discrimination or any act of anything that, even if the scheme. So I had written a letter to in one of my own example during the pandemic, I had written a letter about St. Andrews College had not mentioned in their own letter on the website that they were not giving scholars. They had mentioned all other 5 minorities, but they did not mention the Jain minority community in their letter. So I had written a letter to the National Commission for Minorities that the college did not do it purposely, but they may have forgotten. So I said, you please verify that they have not mentioned the name Jain. So there are students of the poor Jain community also who can avail scholarship. So the Minority Commission immediately swinged into action and they wrote to the principal that, listen, you have excluded this community. Why? So, and the very next day, the college apologized. I mean, it was a mistake. They did not do it intentionally. And they rectified their mistake, and immediately the in the scholarship list the Jains were put in. Now there were certain colleges who were not having these schemes for minorities. They were, I don't know, maybe it was a willful attempt, or I just don't know. I cannot sit here and comment. But there were colleges which were, so the Chief Secretary of Maharashtra had called on all colleges to implement all kind of scholarship schemes for minorities. So and the schemes are given by the government, by the respective central government and central government. Colleges has to only facilitate. So there are, for any scholarship related schemes. Now there are schemes for business women, for minority community. So you can make, like there are khakra making or your papad making or your woolen clothes, there are a lot of stuffs and a lot of training which has been imparted to women from minority community, and there are a lot of self-help groups. So if one has to get into the details of it, and they're all there on the website. So all these schemes are there for empowering them. And there are also state minority commission. Now state minority commission, as I said, it is unfortunate that the Ghulam Nabi Azad government had passed in the cabinet that Jammu and Kashmir will be having a state minority commission, but still the state minority commission in the state of Jammu and Kashmir is not functional, because my cry is that Hindus here are also a minority. So let's not forget that, we only cry for one minority, but their Hindus are a minority, which they have not got justice, So there should be a minority commission in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. When you speak for minorities, otherwise, why not about the Hindu community also, who are a minority? There are communities like Parsis. Now, Parsis are a community which are getting, kind of extinguishing. Their existence is getting, day by day lessened. So there was a scheme called Parsi, for the Parsi, so that their population. So there are, every community has different problems. So one brush may you cannot brush every community's approach to life, approach to livelihood, approach to education, approach to modernity, approach to inclusive attitudes are different. So yes, anything more if students would like to ask, I'm there. And I'm sorry, I just don't know if I've done justice to the work. There is such a report. There is the Rangnath Mishra Commission report. They are all on the website, and these reports have been tabled in Parliament. then there are a lot of schemes from state governments, then there are a lot of schemes from the central government. And yes, very important, the judiciary has played a very important role. If you want to understand, the Supreme Court has given landmark judgment, particularly on who is a minority. If you want to understand who is a minority, please read this judgment. You can Google this house, TMA Pai versus the state of Karnataka. This is a landmark judgment, which just put on Google T for TMA 11th bench Supreme Court judgment, which defines who is a minority and how is a minority categorized. I think this question is important that I should also address. Any community, now who is a minority? Please understand, any community, as per the Supreme Court, who is less than 50% population in a given state. Suppose आपका गुजरात है, so if in Gujarat the one community's population, whether religious or linguistic, is less than 50%, then they will be termed as minority. Now, for example, in the Punjab will be a very good example. In Punjab, all around 70% of Punjab, the state of Punjab's population is Sikh. So other communities become religious, becomes a minority. And also in language, also in Punjab, Punjabi is the majority language. So if your Lala College is in the state of Punjab, it cannot get minority status. It will be a majority college. So their other languages will be termed as minority. So I told you, as state differs, as region to region, minorities will differ. Now there are 3-4 landmark case. DAV College versus the state of Punjab. This is also a very interesting landmark judgment of the Supreme Court, which says, minorities have a right to run their own college, so the government should not interfere. Then there is one more interesting college that which defines on the Constitution, Article 30 kya hota hai. So in Ahmedabad, St. Xavier's College versus the state of Gujarat, there is again what are the rights of minorities and how the government's role plays in. So this is a very interesting landmark judgment again. And there's one more, St. Stephen's versus the Union of India. There's one Bal Patel versus the Union of India. And there is one Kanya Vidya School, what is the state of Uttar Pradesh. So these are some of the landmark judgments related to educational empowerment of minorities under Article 29 and 30 of the Constitution. Now, you also understand that, in Bombay, we have many other linguistic and religious minority colleges. And there are a lot of other. The Kerala bill also throws a lot of, by Kerala education bill throws a lot of lights on minorities under Article 29 and 30 of the Constitution. Now there's a very landmark, one more interesting case, which is SP Mittal. Here there is a linguistic minority, SP Mittal versus the Union of India. Now this is a linguistic minority in the state of West Bengal. The Rajasthani community had set up a college there, and the state government of West Bengal was not recognizing it as a minority. Then the courts intervened, the Supreme Court, stating that in the state of West Bengal, the Rajasthanis are a linguistic minority. So they were given linguistic minority status then. Now there is a lot of unnecessary false propaganda about various universities, various colleges, minority colleges. So these are again, more prejudice rather than facts. So, let's ignore the better. And there are other schemes for minorities from state governments also. Day to day, the Maharashtra government has state government, and then Maharashtra government also has a Maharashtra State Minority Commission. If you know Kama Hospital, it is behind that, or if you know the Times of India building, VT station, it is behind there. Also, we have a Maharashtra State Minority Commission. We have also Human Rights Commission, which again is not for minorities, but it is a pan-India checker for human rights implementation. Now then we also have the SC/ST Minority Commission, which is again in Delhi and again in the state of Maharashtra. Now these are also bodies like the National Commission for Women of Maharashtra State. These are all bodies which, जो भी सरकार आती है power में, they appoint their own people from their own community, I mean, own party. Suppose if it's now the BJP, sorry, it's now the Sena Congress government, they will appoint their person there from minority committee. It's like you give them a kind of a post there, so that these bodies' role is to see that the schemes for minorities are implemented, the fundamental human rights of minorities. There is peace. Yeah, there's very important. There are these peace and amity community, mohalla communities, which are very important within Mumbai, that we must have communal harmony and peace, and there should be a continuous dialogue between communities rather than hate mongering and spreading violence and spreading hate, nafrat or whatever. We should speak to community. We should have dialogue. We should have interfaith dialogue more and more encouraged, so that we understand each other's community rather than, labeling communities is not the right way. Suppose, there is a certain community which says, no, they want to be vegetarian. So they, you understand the cultural reason for being vegetarian. They believe in ahimsa. They don't believe in cruelty for animals. And there are communities which don't eat beef, or there are communities who don't eat pork. So we should understand the cultural and religious reason rather than, just labeling and, hurting sentiments. So we should ensure that we do not hurt any sentiments, and humor and all that should carry on in life. So, and as whether you're from the minority community or majority community, you have Article 51A of the Constitution, which says we as citizens of India have a fundamental right towards each other, like spreading scientific temper, not harming the environment, taking care of the much underprivileged. Like if suppose, I'm not trying to boast, but on a Sunday I have attached with an organization called Robin Hood. So now in pandemic we are not having classes, but we are teaching Jhoparpatti kids in Worli. We teach Jhoparpatti kids. So we teach them like human rights, we teach them their studies, we teach them maths, we teach them English, we teach them grammar. So in their own subject, we tell them you get your own books. So that has led to a lot of progress in their own academics. So if as students, I think the biggest curse for India is two things: poverty and illiteracy. Poverty का तो हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते, but if you can teach illiterate kids, Jhoparpatti kids, it is a great help. It is a great help for the development of India. So whether you're from minority community or majority community, if you can do something for social cause, that is very important. If you can join, I'm not saying you join Robin Hood, you can join any NGO, or you don't need to even join an NGO. If you can do good social work, like planting a tree, very important. We have this crazy, this concrete development going on where we are just cutting down trees. If in your areas, if there are trees, if you can grow tree, if you can water them, some animal care, animal and all, they are all part of biodiversity. So birds and the flora, everything. So any one cause you can initiate, like you can feed someone, if you can, that's very good. If you can teach someone, very good. If you keep your area clean, very good. If you can plant trees, very good. Could be social cause, anything that is good, rather than chit chatting and arguing and getting into unconstructive work. If you could do something for India and Indians for the less privileged, in particularly, I think the best message you could do is like educating someone, teaching them. The first generation, the biggest minority I feel today is the first generation going to school, irrespective of their caste, religion, language, culture, whatever background. The first generation going to school. You see, your parents might have gone to school and college, but there are still, we go in the Jhoparpattis, we speak to parents and all, we do give them dry ration and all in this pandemic. But we see that parents do not understand the value of education, particularly the girl child. The girl child has to be educated, and educated is not your, 8वीं 9वीं 10वीं, at least they reach college, so they will get knowledge. At least they graduate and post it. So our idea is that to boost them. and many of them in this way are from minority communities also. Since the subject is minority, there are many students attached with us who are from minority community, and we also ensure that we teach them, to respect communities, to celebrate all festivals. India is about celebration, unity in diversity. So you celebrate all festivals. You celebrate the cultural value. More than celebrating, you understand the cultural value, the reason behind that festival, the adhyatmic reason, the spiritual reason behind that festival. So I write for the speaking tree also. So every time whenever there is a festival, if you read the speaking tree, you will know kya reason, why is Diwali celebrated among Hindus the way it is, why Diwali is celebrating among Jains, why Diwali is celebrated among Sikhs. There are different reasons. That, see, one festival, but communities ka reason Diwali celebrate karne ka different hai. So you understand the cultural aspect, and in that cultural aspect we should try and help the environment cause, we help the underprivileged. Or बहुत सा आप, you can be a, have you heard about this NGO called Akansha? This girl from St. Xavier's was a girl who just came and she saw the slum kids all unpad, and also she started teaching 2 kids within this college premises. This is a history. If you This girl started getting 2 Jhoparpatti boys with the permission of the college management, teaching them, and how to read and write and all. So this became it's now a very pan India, a big NGO in Mumbai and all, where Amitabh Bachchan does ad. It's a great social cause that she has done. So as students, if you can do this, I mean, nothing like it, then we will have a superpower India. And I think one day, as the we will not have a reason for a Satcha report or for a Rangnath Mishra report, where everybody is educated, everybody is well-to-do, everybody is healthy, everybody is wealthy, everybody is educated, everybody is empowered, and nobody feels discriminated or unempowered, or all they have all the fruits of development to their core. Thank you, students. I hope I have done justice in whatever time I could. If anybody would like to ask me questions, I'm open to it. And I give the floor to Rahul. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I request participants to kindly put up their questions, if any, on the chat box, or you all can unmute yourself. But just tell us that who wants to speak so that we can, or else I think they can unmute themselves and speak. Are there any questions from anyone? You all can put it in the chat. We'll take the questions. Any questions from the faculties or from the students? Yes. Okay, then I think the concepts are much clearer. Okay, fine, no problem. Uh, we'll proceed with the formal Thanksgiving note to Sir today. It is indeed my honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this online webinar, sir, organized by Department of Commerce jointly with IQAC of Lala Lajpat Rai College on the topic Rights of Minorities. My heartfelt thanks to Mr. Dhanpal Chain, sir, for enlightening us with diverse perspectives of minority rights applicable to various states at pan-India level. Okay, I'm very sure students are definitely going to have a lot of takeaways from this session, empowering and excelling them in their academic avenues. I think the very important thing which sir told was that they can simply browse into the scholarship link. Sir, I would request you to kindly post that link on the chat box so that in case if a student who is belonging to a minority community can easily access that particular
Sure, I
link.
will do that. I will do that.
Yeah. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Neelam Arora ma'am, for always being a rock support. Miss Jyoti, who has helped me out with the technical support today. And none other than my dear student volunteers, Samyukta, Pooja, Priyanka, Ankit, and Divya, for always extending a wholehearted support. Thank you once again. Definitely, the National Minority Rights Day has really been a reminder of a vibrant society. thanks to laws to protect minorities and promote religious tolerance and mutual respect amongst one another. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sparing your time, valuable time with us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. So it was a pleasure, and I'm proud to be a student from Lala College.
Thank you. Same here, sir.
Law College, law.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, we will close the session then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Aurora, ma'am. Yeah, I think madam is lost the connection. Ma'am, are you there? We'll close up. Thank you so much. Thank you, students, for attending the session. Thank you, faculties, for being a part. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. I'll end the session here.
Thank you, Dhanpal, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Such a comprehensive lecture. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure. Pleasure.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll end the session. I'll end the meeting here. Okay.